Kid turned in handwritten science report as part of final project and was failed for plagiarism upon receipt. Next day kid I am called to principal's office and find kid with parents demanding to know how I could fail their child without even reading the paper. I really enjoyed the look on the mom's face when she saw her kid's paper that was a hand-copied wiki page complete with image tiles and footnote numbers. Looks at watermark. I totally didn't fail them for plagiarism for this F not. I can understand footnotes, but image tiles? My first year teaching 5th grade was 1988, well before students had access to the internet for research. Kids used books, encyclopedias, etc. I've assigned them a report on any famous national landmark in the US. I taught them how to find the interesting parts they like from different sources and, of course, told them not to just copy everything word for word. One of my students got up in front of the class and read her report. She began, "The Statue of Liberty see above is one of the most famous landmarks in the world." One kid was throwing candy on the floor, the other was hoovering it up with their mouth. High school students on a noticeably dirty floor. I caught a kindergartner hiding under the desk pooping on his backpack. I once had a kid, 7th grader, come to school covered in soot and reeking of what smelled like a barbecue grill. Turned out he was high off his ass and was trying to cook out marijuana extract on his stove in his kitchen and his stuff exploded on him. He was so high he couldn't think of anything better to do but come to school since he was already in trouble for truancy. That and the dozens of other kids I've busted coming to school high in my 7 years working in public school in Colorado. Oh, has it gotten any better since legalization? Some people in education make it out to be so much worse since legalization, but it's honestly about the same. People are just more interested in the presence of weed in schools is all, but in reality about the same average of kids are taking pot to school. I'd even venture to say the same amount of kids are using, but with social media and all more are getting caught. I'm not a teacher, but I remember a teacher of mine playing a trick on a kid that had chewing tobacco in his mouth in class. I suppose I would have been a junior in HS at the time. The dude was holding in his spit and had a spitter he could use, but it would be super obvious if the teacher was facing him. So the teacher noticed him and started engaging him in questions and not turning her back to the board. He kept nodding and pretending to agree or disagree until she eventually asked him a question that required a spoken answer. By this time, he had a full mouthful of chew spit. He swallowed the whole dip and all the spit and answered the question. Her response was, "I bet you won't do that again, will you?" To his credit, he didn't dip in class again. The whole class knew what the teacher was doing and they knew he had a big dip in. We all thought it was hilarious. It's easy to swallow a piece of illicit chewing gum. Much harder to swallow tobacco. I teach college. One of my students tried to bite another one last week, because the first girl was trying to take a snap of her. I threw them out and reported the behavior because screaming, fighting, and trying to bite one another in class is not college behavior. They showed up to the next class straight up pouting that they won't be allowed to act like this in class anymore. Where on earth do you teach? Small liberal arts college. This was a freshman writing course. I was complaining about these girls to a friend, without their names or describing them at all, and she knew who I was talking about because they have also been walking around our building and literally pointing and laughing at people. I've actually probably seen more screwed up shit in my classroom over the years, but somehow the sheer immaturity of these two just is mind-boggling to me. Not a teacher, but my own idiot son. 7th grade, decided it would be funny to take instant mashed potatoes to school in a small baggie. Told his friends it was Exodus. Other kid sees idiot son with drugs, runs out of bathroom to tell teacher. Son freaks out and flushes baggie. Expelled for a year for bringing drugs to school. He's 15 now. Still catches shit about it from family. Fucking Exodus LMFAO. Well, it did make him leave the school. Trying to light another kid's hair on fire. Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. I had a kid stick a paper clip into an outlet. He flew out of his chair and blew out the circuits of a wing of the school. 10th grade. Edit, this isn't even the dumbest thing, it's just what popped into my head last night. I had once stripped the wires of a broken cell charger, plug it in, and short the entire lab bench. I didn't reset it at the breaker until he, and his buddies, had spent the entire semester assigned to that bench. Oh, you need electricity? Sounds like you should talk to Travis. Resetting the breaker took 2 minutes. I let them think they had seriously damaged the electrical supply, trying to convert their classmates to their religion. Getting your fellow 4th graders excited to be JW when they know they won't get birthdays, Christmas, Halloween, Easter baskets, or St. Patrick's Day tricks was ambitious and never going to happen. I don't know if you're still a teacher, but I grew up a JW, now I'm an ex-JW. Most the kids don't actually want to talk about JW. They're forced to by their parents, Jehovah's Witnesses are a high-control group. They're doomsday predictors, and threaten their members with shunning if they ever leave. They tell parents to cut off their children if they leave. They also discourage higher education. They tell spouses to not leave if there's domestic violence. They also have been hiding pedophiles. It's very isolating to grow up a JW. The best thing you can do is provide the child with resources to go to if they feel in danger. Encourage them to ask questions, particularly when it comes to critical thinking. I've seen some who refuse to bring it up and some who are right into it. There's a trip every year for some classes that require a college overnight trip in high school. I make sure any students who grow up in a JW household go. I leave the TV in the common areas on HBO, make sure they have Wi-Fi and a computer for the weekend. I order food for them and make students mingle with kids from other schools. It's my small effort to give them a sleepover/safe party experience before college. One said the trip was the best weekend of their life, and they recognized that their development was likely impacted from not sharing the same social experiences with birthdays and parties with their peers. It broke my heart. 9th grade girls ate pot brownies for the first time, freaked out in class, asked to go to the nurse, and cried that they needed to go to confession. I think we're dying. Yeah, we're dead. So, how was your first time with weed? You never ever do an edible first. Ever. This one time in college, I went to a Thanksgiving party. I showed up late, so I grabbed a bunch of food and started eating. Half an hour later everyone started talking about how great all those edibles were. I asked another guy what they were talking about and he told me that there was weed and everything on the table. I had had 3 helpings of everything. I had never used anything but alcohol before that. I had a wild ride. Had a 6th grade student tell people to call him Jigglypuff. He regretted it after 2 hours until he eventually left the school. Jiggleave. Same kid jerked off in the bathroom. Also told another student he wanted to fuck him in the butt amongst other things. Damn kids always touching themselves and saying inappropriate things. I had a student, A, who copied part of another student's, B, lab report. The problem is that they shared the document and Dux and student B wrote in the text, in a freaking different color, something along the lines of "You should change this section of your analysis because it's too similar to mine and the teacher might notice." The 2 students then had 6 to 8 lines of dialogue in 2 different colors where they discuss the text they are plagiarizing. And it was handed in without taking those parts out. Talk about amateurs. Student was holding scissors very close to his eyes. When I asked why he was doing this, he responded that he was just trimming his eyelashes. That's all. Said it like it was a completely normal thing to do. First grader. Here's to hoping he has a bright future and 2 functioning eyes to see it. Woman face palming. Had a kid who liked to fart during class to get attention. Would do it multiple times a class period until one day he pushed too hard and crapped his pants. Never did it again. Test, class, and gas. Only one did he pass. I caught some junior high students putting big rocks in the toilet bowl. Later, they were summoned before the principal and sacrificed. I witnessed a girl chew a pen and it burst in her mouth. She then spat the contents onto another student who smacked her with his chair. Middle school was a bit mad. The little blue ones. Edit, little blue chairs. Which fucking part of the story do the little blue ones apply to? Smurf school. Goddamn it Vanessa, this is the last time you snowballed me after blowing Papa Smurf. FBI? Not a teacher, but one guy in our class in high school picked up a floor tile and dropped it on another student's head who happened to sit right in front of the teacher. The teacher just let out a long sigh and said, "Are you a fucking idiot? Go to the office." Love that teacher. Had a student crumble up his test out of frustration, put it in his coat pocket he was wearing and asked to take a walk. Nah bro. Aw what a shame. Would have been pretty smart if he folded it up, put a blank sheet of paper down, put the test in his pocket, asked to use the restroom, Googled the answers, come back, work on the test, then turned it in. No way the teacher wouldn't be suspicious when grading a folded up test. Then he should get some sort of tube that has a greater length than the paper's width, roll up the test, put it in the tube, pocket the tube, and then put a blank paper down before asking to go to the restroom. Instructions unclear, tube gets stuck in anus.